Hi everyone, my name is Samantha Vogel, and my project is on AI and sustainability. Here is the link to my dashboard, and just a quick overview of what's on the dashboard. Later on, I will go more in depth of what this is. Background. I chose to focus on this topic because I'm very interested in advancements being made in technology that will hopefully improve the lives of humans. I'm also interested in sustainability efforts and discovering how these advancements affect us and the world around us. As someone who has been interested in technology, the science fiction genre, and how computers operate, AI has been incredibly fascinating to me, and I really wanted to focus on it for this assignment. Goals of this project. This project aims to explore how AI data centers affect the lives of humans and what their impact on the environment is. The data visualizations created will explore where these AI data centers are and why it's important. They'll also depict the yearly energy consumptions of both human households and these data centers. There will be possible solutions mentioned at the end of the presentation. Stay tuned! Objectives. The objectives of this presentation are to discover the impacts that AI and AI data centers have on humans and the world around them. I will explore how much energy, water, and electricity are being used by both humans and AI data centers. Why should you care? Well, 97% of the Earth's water is found in the ocean, according to Bureau of Reclamation, or in other words, unattainable for human consumption. These data centers use non-renewable fossil fuels, use a lot of land when they're built, here for a potentially good time, not necessarily a long time. They can put a strain on the electric grid and potentially increase consumer electricity bills in some areas. Questions to be answered. Do AI data centers actually pose issues for humans, or is it being blown out of proportion? What can be done to eliminate or lessen the cost of AI? This is the geospatial animated proportional symbol map. It shows where all the AI data centers are. It's also global. This is just right now the US side. So, utilizing the dual axis feature in a calculated field, I was able to display both the electricity usage and water usage of these AI data centers. The calculated field, which is the power and water efficiency, changes size and color depending on how efficient they are at using energy. Red is less efficient and displays as larger circles. So as you see on the right, your users can choose which data to view, such as, city, country, facility ID, the year, the electricity usage, the water usage in gallons, and then bottom two are the calculated fields. This is the animated bar chart, and depending on the year, it changes monetary value. This data set uses data from American households all the way back to 2001, and so as you get closer to 2020 and onwards, there's an upwards trend of electricity cost rising. So as you see on the right as well, there's the state description, the year, and the price. And on the dashboard itself, you can filter by months to get an even more detailed view. Yearly energy consumption. How much energy do American households typically consume? In 2022, the average annual amount of electricity sold to or purchased by a U.S. residential electric utility customer was 10,791 kilowatt hours, an average of about 899 kilowatts per month. But this may differ depending on the type of energy used, like solar or wind. How many gallons of water do American households typically consume? According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, each American uses an average of 82 gallons of water a day at home. Why are AI data centers an issue? Let's talk about the water. From the Bureau of Reclamation, 97% of the Earth's water is found in the oceans, too salty for drinking, growing crops, and most industrial uses except cooling. If the world's water supply were only 100 liters, or 26 gallons, Our usable water supply of fresh water would be only about 0.003 liters, or 1/2 teaspoon. Even a mid-sized data center consumes as much water as a small town, while larger ones require up to 5 million gallons of water every day, as much as a city of 50,000 people. Most of that cooling water has historically come from potable, drinking quality sources like municipal water or groundwater. One analysis estimated that around 57% of data centers' direct water use is from potable water supplies. Another industry assessment was even starker. 80 to 90% of water used by data centers is drawn from blue water sources, such as lakes, rivers, or aquifers, often the same sources providing community drinking water. And this puts a lot of strain on rural communities that some of these AI data centers are popping up in, and it puts a lot of strain on them and their community. Why are AI data centers an issue? Part 2. Electricity. In Virginia, in February 2025, Dominion proposed its first base rate increase since 1992, adding about $8.51 per month in 2026 and $2 per month in 2027 for a typical household. By 2030 and 2035, data centers could account for 20% of global electricity use, putting an immense strain on power grids. AI language training models require CPUs, GPU/TPUs, which is essentially the brains and operation of the computer, to be running constantly, sometimes up for weeks, in order to generate results. With smaller companies having less resources, this can take even longer and put even more strain on the electric grid, among other things. AI models consume enormous amounts of fossil fuel-based electricity, significantly contributing to greenhouse gas emissions. Hopping over to Ireland real quick. From the article, What Ireland's Data Center Crisis Means for the EU's AI Sovereignty Plans by Lewis Boyd Madsen. In 2008, after the global recession, Dublin, Ireland became home to a steady stream of tech giants. Quote, energy consumption by data centers is by far the highest in Europe. In comparison to the total Irish national consumption, they accounted for a 22% share in 2024. Roughly 97% of these data centers are clustered in the wider Dublin area, end quote. By 2021, the electric grid in Ireland had reached capacity, and EirGrid, the national grid operator, said any additional strain on the system could lead to more blackouts. Instead of scaling back on data center production, the Irish government instead built emergency gas generators. The cost of this, however, has been pushed onto Irish citizens. They've been paying close to an extra £100 on their electricity bill per family. Ireland is extremely fossil fuel dependent already, so having these huge data centers drawing from them puts an incredible strain on the electric grid that's already struggling. It really makes it difficult to meet decarbonization efforts. Through corporate power purchase agreements, or CPPAs, companies can claim they're transitioning to renewable energy, yet in practice don't really seem to. They continue to use these fossil fuels instead. Alright, so on the right-hand side, we're going to go back to America. So, as you can see, we are looking at Virginia, specifically Boydton. And fun fact, Virginia is the state that has the most AI data centers in America. So, according to censusreporter.org, Boydton has a population of 269 people and is 0.8 square miles. With this being said, as you can see from the graphic, it's such a small area, yet there's a ton of energy being generated and used in this AI data center specifically. This is the bar chart, and as you can see, just like in the map viz, from 2021 to 2023, there's an upwards trend of electricity costs rising for Americans. What can we do? From the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the average family spends more than $1,000 per year in water costs, but can save more than $380 annually from retrofitting with WaterSense labeled fixtures and Energy Star certified appliances. You can unplug devices when not in use, as even being powered off, Things like TVs and computers still consume low amounts of electricity, which add up over time. You can use cold water when using the washing machine and washing dishes and whatnot. Clean dryer lint filters, and especially refrigerator filters, which I found out about. Okay. Keep the thermostat at a set temperature during the hot and cold seasons. It's important, I know it's hot or I know it's cold, but, hiking up when it's extreme temperatures, the AC unit and heat puts a lot of strain on that unit. You can also write to local city and county governments stating concerns with energy use and the development of these data centers. One of the best things you can do is form groups and work with your community. What can be done by corporations, which I think is one of the most important things. For one, they can put resources into sustainable practices. They can start using reclaimed water instead of potable or city drinking water, and look into different system cooling methods and alternate electricity sources. Rigorous modeling of data centers' reliability and economic impacts across transmission and distribution enables evidence-driven policymaking. Professor Candomir from Penn State suggests that companies should optimize AI models by creating domain-specific for specialized fields, look into sustainable energy sources such as wind and solar, and train AI models across different time zones to run only during off-peak energy hours. In theory, this would limit or lessen the strain on the electric grid. And also, wanted to point out that though it's not typically the consumer's responsibility to uphold sustainable practices, everything helps. Using less plastic and be mindful of the waste that you produce. But it really is the corporations that cause the most pollution, and so they should be the ones that are most responsible for creating sustainable practices with something that requires so much energy all the time. In closing, I think AI is a powerful tool that could be really great for people for information needs and creativity. However, if it is negatively affecting communities, such as with more expensive bills, pollution, and increased use of non-renewable resources, I don't believe it is sustainable and should not be for continuous everyday use as it has been. With that being said, this concludes my presentation. Thank you.